Welcome, everyone, and welcome to Online Marketing Daily, where we discuss the rapidly changing landscape of online advertising. Some of the biggest changes we are looking at today is in Google Ads. Yes, Google Ads. I love them. I absolutely love it. But man, does Google make it difficult for advertisers. Google has banned account suspension appeals, at least for some people. Starting in October, they're going to start rolling out a process that will basically, some of you won't be able to even appeal a suspension if you get one. In the future, what's going to happen is if your account gets suspended for violating Google Ads policies, you're going to have to verify first your identity, your company, your business, all your information. Google wants to know who they're doing business with first before they even allow you to appeal a suspension. Now, this is absolutely game changing because a lot of advertisers that come to me that's been suspended, not all of them have their businesses set up in a way that with this type of background check that Google's going to do, that they could even prove who they were. And here's the interesting thing about this change. Google's talking a lot about the United States. Now, most advertisers, I think, are international and they are not from the United States. So it's very interesting to see how this process is going to work out. And it says, starting on October 10th, Google is going to roll out where an advertiser, if they're suspended, must complete advertiser verification first to be able to appeal the suspension. Advertisers may be required to provide the following information. And international people, I do not know what this means for you, but it says you must A, provide a DUN or DUNS account number for your organization. Now, those of you who don't know what a DUNS number is, if you have a registered business and you want to build a credit profile for your business, you go to a private company. DUNS is private. It is not public at all. It's not a governmental agency. And you start building a business credit profile for your organization. You give them the information to build this up. It's kind of interesting. It reminds me of the Better Business Bureau in that way, where a lot of people think the Better Business Bureau is a government organization. They are not. They are a private entity. Your online reputation is affected by the BBB, but it's really volunteer and it's, they make money off the BBB. So similar, the DUNS is a credit organization for businesses. Google is going to require that for organizations in the United States. It's interesting because very few businesses in the United States have a DUNS number. I have businesses and I think only one of them has a DUNS number. It's really something that is not really widespread. I mean, we're aware of it, but the fact that this is going to potentially be one of the requirements is interesting. I mean, I don't know if Google has partnered up with Duns and Bradstreet or not. I mean, that is very interesting. Or if you have an individual account, which most accounts are, I believe, they may require your social security number. Yes, your SOCH. You may have to give to Google where they can go and do a thorough background check to make sure it's you. This is a lot of privacy waiver, okay, for an account suspension. This will effectively ban a large amount of you from even doing an appeal if your accounts get suspended. Ethically, how do I feel about that? Ethically, I have a lot of questions. Google still has mostly an automated process for suspensions. Yes, a manual reviewer has to agree with what the bots have found. Don't get me wrong, but what I have found more times than not is that those manual reviewers that are reviewing what the bots have found simply just agree with their decision. I mean, I really don't see, because I get so many accounts overturned that have been suspended incorrectly. I actually have some questions about how effective the current process is. Sure, they suspend many, I guess millions of accounts, hundreds of thousands on an annual basis, but I do question whether or not this process is the best way to go with all the kinks that still exist. And the truth is, since COVID, all right, and this is something that is just real, people. Google has basically taken their reactive support offshore. Okay. I mean, I guess in Canada, they're still doing some things in Ontario or Toronto or something like that. But other than that, in North America, you're just not going to get reactive support in the United States anymore. They're going to be in India. They may be in other parts of the world. They're mostly in India, to be honest, since most Google Ads accounts are English speaking. There are some challenges in understanding some things when someone is not domestic that, in my opinion, cause a lot of suspensions. Now, the truth of the matter is they still have a lot of background teams in the United States. So, for an example, if you get suspended for circumventing systems, I believe that team still is in Mountain View, but you can't interact with them. At best, you can submit a form that gets filtered to them, but you're not going to talk to those people. So you're just not going to get support in that way. And I believe reactive support in those situations, they can't even talk to you about it. That's going to be an interesting situation in that you're waiving a lot of privacy just to do an appeal. I guess it's okay because Google is a private company. They have the right to want to know who they're doing business with. But I mean, your social security number, DUNS number. And here's the interesting thing. Google is not very transparent on suspensions. There's some where they might get very specific. Like, for example, if you have malware on your website and they detect it, and they might give you some procedures to find that malware. So I say in those cases, they might be more transparent than most suspensions. But I'll be honest, when things escalate to the level of suspension, Google is not transparent. So actually, you're giving up a lot of privacy transparency, and they're not giving it back to you in return. And this is going to be the process. Now, they say they might just require a phone number for an individual, but I mean, you tell me what you think. A social security number or phone number. Google's saying they might require one of these two if you're an individual. The fact that a social security number is on the table, do you think they may just settle for a phone number? I mean, maybe, but for how long? Maybe the beginning part is phone number, but at some point, you can't do business on Google Ads unless you have a DUNS number, and you can't do business on Google Ads unless you submit your social security number, which means, let's be honest, Google is one big data center. That's their entire business model. Now they have your social, now they have your DUNS number, and you think they're just going to use it for this? I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, have you walked down the street? I go to McDonald's and all of a sudden Google's like, hey, I see you're at Mickey D's. How was McDonald's? What'd you order? I mean, you think if they're going to get your social security number that they're going to put some wall up where they don't use it as part of their data center? Please, you have got to be kidding me. So data wars, I mean, since cookies have went away, getting your social security number will be just the next step in them rounding out your profile that they use to follow you and sell your information. But man, everything I'm talking to you about is for United States people. Think about this. I don't even know, like if you're in Canada, Mexico, the UK, all these other countries, what's the process going to be for you? You don't even have social security numbers. You may not even have a phone number. A lot of countries, they use Skype or they use WhatsApp or whatever. I just don't know exactly what this is going to mean for you once this fully rolls out. But that being said, though, we here are absolutely creating strategy. So, most of the people that come to us that are suspended is either A, was a pure accident. They didn't even know that policy existed, or B, the bot got it completely wrong. So we are creating strategies so that we can help individuals appeal these suspensions and get them overturned. But this is just one more gigantuous hoo-ha up in there that a lot of advertisers are going to have to deal with.